Welcome to this edition of Bringing the Ask For podcast, joined by special guest Connor McFall this week. If you do pay attention to Steve Shetler Media, he was on a few weeks ago with Albia's baseball team on the Saturday morning sports program. So he's going to join me tonight, talk a little bit about high school and Albia sports, and then Cyclone football and some of his predictions and memories and stuff like this. But first, just introduce yourself, Connor, and talk, just a little bit about yourself, your background, everything else like that.
Yeah, so I'm Connor McFall. I'm 17. Growing up, an Iowa State fan. Gone to Iowa my whole life. Lots of sports there, sports memories there. I play baseball, basketball. I golf some, and lots of sports, just stuff like that. This isn't my first time doing one of these, so bear with me there. But it'll be all right. We'll get it done, so.
Yeah, it'll be good. Kind of short one tonight. It's summertime. Trev's out with work this week. So we just got back from Missouri. We went down to near Branson area, Table Rock Lake for just a few quick days, getting ready for school to start. Golf practice starts for me on Monday. They're at Ottumwa High School, and just getting ready for everybody to start school again. Lots of vacation people, lots of people getting back from vacations with family week being last week. And school is getting closer and closer. You're seeing teachers going back, starting to get their classrooms ready. Lucky for me, I'm a PE teacher, and I don't have to spend a lot of time doing that. But we will have about a couple weeks of PD and everything starting next week for Ottumwa schools. And then August 25th, school starts for everybody, including him. Senior year for Connor. I'm sure he's looking forward to that. We're going to move right now into Cyclone football, kind of have his predictions and his thoughts on the upcoming season, and maybe, kind of what he thought last year with record-breaking wins for the Cyclones. And the difference in a Cyclone fan like me that's 45 years old, that has seen ups and downs and mainly downs, except for about the last 10 years, 15 years. And then someone like Connor that has not seen the consistent 1-10, 2-10, when they only played 11 games and hadn't been to a bowl game and didn't see Iowa State beat Iowa until they were in college. There's things like that. First, you have season tickets. Did you make every game last year?
I missed two.
Yeah.
I missed one. I had a baseball tournament in Indianola at Simpson College. That was against Arkansas State. We missed that one. It was a day game. And then I missed the Baylor whiteout game to go to homecoming. That was a night game, whiteout game, electric game. I missed that one for homecoming.
Yeah, so, he made almost all the games, went to the Big 12 championship game. Did not go to the bowl game, but he did go to the Big 12 championship game. What was the biggest highlight from last season? Going to the games or watching on TV? Just what was your highlights of the season?
The highlights of the season, obviously the wins. Unexpected going into this season. We were expected to be decent, but I don't think 11-3 was what was expected out of us. So obviously it was fun. Beating Iowa was awesome. Kyle Conradi with the 54-yard field goal to end that one. That was fun. I was with a bunch of Iowa friends that were Iowa fans, and so they were loving it because I was going crazy. And Brandy Strickler, my friend's mom, she videoed me. That was pretty fun. And then starting off 7-0 or 6-0 or whatever we did, that was fun because we hadn't had a start like that ever. I believe we tied our record for most wins in a row to start the season and then lost. But then we went on a winning streak there at the end, got our 10th win against Kansas State and stormed the field. That was really fun. It was the first time I'd stormed the field, so that was fun for me. And then going down to the bowl game, even though we lost, the experience was fun. And just to be there was something special, so.
Yeah, getting to the Big 12 championship game and going to a game at Texas Stadium, Dallas, Jerry's World, wherever you want to call it, AT&T Stadium. it wasn't sold out. I didn't think there was as many Iowa State fans as I thought there would be. But still, just being there, being in that stadium, you can see and picture, national championship games have been there, basketball tournament, just everything has been there, and you can see why it's huge. It's wide open. The difference in an NFL professional stadium and Iowa State, Jack Trice Stadium or Kinnick Stadium or most college stadiums, the difference is immense, and you can just see that, and it just made it a big-time game. Obviously, the game did not go the way for the Cyclones. Arizona State proved how much better they were that day. I do think if they played again, the game would not be as big a blowout. I'm not going to say Iowa State wins very many times against Arizona State off last year. Arizona proved they belong with very, very narrow loss to Texas in that game. But Iowa State getting there for the second time under Matt Campbell and just proving that they were one game away from the playoff and how close they are. Lots of returners, should compete again for a Big 12 championship. Now, the difference this year is we start out of the gate in Ireland against Kansas State, another one of the favorites. In fact, probably the favorite from the odds makers and a lot of predictions. Them and Arizona State are the two favorites. If Iowa State wins that first game, they're right off the bat and hitting the ground running on top of the Big 12 standings. So games you're looking, kind of some predictions for this year, some, maybe the most, look forward to game, maybe overall, and then the one at home, the one you're going to get there. And then also just kind of your favorite Cyclone memory.
All right, so some predictions for this year, right off the gates against Kansas State, obviously. I think that'll be a great game. We beat them the last couple of years. They're returning a lot of guys. We're returning a lot of guys. Close game last year, came down to the last possession or two. I think that'll be a great game, back and forth. I think it'll be a game of who prepared more. I think, obviously, they'll prepare well, we'll prepare well. But I think it's just whoever starts off and scores to start off hot, I think that'll be a big thing. I think you got to get up early on them, or same thing with them, got to get up early. I think whoever gets on top first, it'll be a good game, obviously. But I think it's anybody's ball game. I do have us winning that one, but I think it'll be good. Good game the last couple years against them within a possession or two. I think that'll be fun. And then we have probably my most look forward to game this year. We're playing at home against Arizona State, coming off the Big 12 championship last year. Obviously, it was a blowout. We'll be looking to get them back this year at home. That'll be fun. Hopefully, it's a night game. Night games are always fun at Jack Trice. And we're looking for revenge on them, so that one will be fun. And it's closer towards the end of the year, I believe, so it could have a lot riding on it with Big 12 championship stuff on the line possibly, depending on how things go. I think that's a real possibility for that one to be a big game, and that'll be fun. And then hopefully we can make the Big 12 championship again this year. Favorite memories? I've gone to quite a few football games in the past. When I was younger, we would ride up in the Cyclone ambulance. That was always fun. Lots of memories doing that. And then, obviously, the last couple years, I've been to some games. Obviously, storming the field was fun last year. That was a great memory. Just lots of stuff like that. Been to lots of games. Basketball games. This last year, we went to the game against Kansas. That was fun. Beat them at home. It's always fun to beat Kansas, especially when you're there. Crowd was electric. It was a great game that night. Yeah, lots of good memories that way. It's been fun the last few years as a Cyclone fan.
Yeah, and that's, Iowa State, ever since Fred Hoiberg took over, except for the one last year with Steve Prohm, Cyclone basketball has been one of the best in the Big 12, NCAA tournament most years. I think it's 4 or 5 Sweet 16s, something Hawkeye fans haven't had since 1999. I just want to point that out. I do think that will change. I do think they have the correct coach now. We'll see if that is the case, but I do think the coach they did hire will turn that program around to be a little bit more consistent, and probably a little bit just luck of the draw. They will get to the Sweet 16 relatively soon if they get to the tournament. But we've had, multiple coaches get 3 coaches, in the last 12 years get to the Sweet 16 with Hoiberg, Prohm, and Otzelberger. It looks to me like I was just watching a thing earlier. Otzelberger is really happy and really excited about this coming year for basketball as well. Maybe they're not going to be ranked in the top 5 most of the year. They're not going to, without those injuries, you never know what could have happened last year. Maybe they're not top end, if everybody stays healthy, win a national championship. But I think they're really happy with what they have, and they're going to make another run to get to that Sweet 16 and compete for a Big 12 championship. And then that's also the biggest thing with Matt Campbell since he's been there. And this is his 10th year, just signed a new contract, $5 million a year. It's a lot of money in Ames, Iowa, but it's not what he could have got other places, and it's not even what he probably could have demanded at Iowa State. But he gives up $1 million a year for the NIL. He gets more money for his staff. And, I was actually just watching another thing on Iowa State football that they were talking about all the nutrition and everything, and just how many more people and how much more just investment it takes to run a successful Division I football program from when I was there, over 20 years ago. And they were talking about all the food and everything they give every player. They gave us a lot of food when I was there in 2000, 2001 as well. But just looking at what it is now, it's just the facilities are so much different. And Matt Campbell has a lot to do with that. He wants all of that stuff to be top notch because that's the things that you can control. You can't control how much money the Big 12 is going to get. You can't control a whole lot what conference you're in. Don't kid yourself. If the Big 10 came calling to Iowa State's going to the Big 10 as soon as they wouldn't even have to finish the sentence, just like every other school would, or if the SEC calls. But as long as they're in the Big 12, they have to compete the best they can. And with Matt Campbell at the helm, Iowa State will compete every year because the biggest thing is they're in every game. They're not getting blown out very rarely. Yes, the Big 12 championship was a blowout, but every given Saturday, you feel like they have a chance to win. And that hasn't always been the case for Iowa State football. And, in your lifetime, even, Gene Chizik and Paul Rhodes, and then, with Matt Campbell, and then going back to Dan McCarney, it's just a relay race. And many people have talked about that. McCarney started it, handed off to Chizik. Now, Chizik didn't stay very long, but his recruiting did enhance the program. And Paul Rhodes benefited from that for his first couple years getting to a bowl game were with a lot of Gene Chizik's players, because at that time you couldn't turn over an entire program and everybody didn't leave when a coach left. That's just the difference in today than 20 years ago. Paul Rhodes had success, kind of fell at the end and obviously was fired there at the end. And then Matt Campbell just has progressively got the program to being one of the best in the Big 12. And collectively, as a college football, people understand the job he's done. And everything I've heard out of Iowa State and national pundits, he was in the running for USC. He was in the running for Washington. He's in the running for Florida State, for Tennessee. Whether it gets any of those jobs or he said no or just didn't even try, I do think he's had some opportunities to leave and he's turned them down, or they were very interested in them and they did decide to go another direction. But Matt Campbell being the Cyclone football coach, as long as he is there, Cyclone football is in great hands.
Yeah, so I think ever since Campbell got there, obviously he's had opportunities to leave, even to the NFL. Like last year, they were advertising that he was up for the Chicago Bears spot. So he's had opportunities to go above the college level to professional. But him staying, I think a lot of him staying affects the players too. The culture there right now is great. He's got players wanting to stay. He's got players getting offered money to go elsewhere that are staying. Obviously you're going to have guys that transfer in this day and age. The transfer portal is just crazy anymore, but lots of money involved. Obviously Iowa State doesn't have the money that some of the powerhouse programs have, but just the culture under Campbell, he's got everybody wanting to stay and play for them.
Correct. I mean, one of the quotes was their top 20 guys all had to take a pay cut to stay and play at Iowa State. And some people took that wrong and saying Iowa State is paying them less this year than they did last year. And that's not, I shouldn't put words in his mouth, but I don't think that's what he meant. He meant, Iowa State's paying them $100,000 and Texas, for example, come in and said, I'll pay you $200,000. And they didn't go to Texas. Now, don't kid yourself. Iowa State's probably paying them more than $100 now. And Rocco Beck is getting paid a lot of money to play quarterback at Iowa State. Nobody kid yourself that these guys aren't getting paid, but are they getting more than they would have at Florida State or Florida or Alabama if they would have went there? Absolutely not. But Iowa State is paying a lot of money to these players still to play football and men's basketball.
Yeah, so they signed a new deal or something with the government that schools have so much money they have to split between all the sports. So boys and girls, our girls basketball program is getting better and better every year. Bill Finley's doing a great job with them. We got recruits coming in. We just got a good transfer from Colorado, I believe. That was really good. Stuff like that. So just all Iowa State sports programs in general around Ames, Iowa is doing great. Cultures are great. Relationships are great. It's just a lot of stuff going well around Ames, Iowa right now, which is good. When you have that, you got a lot of fans, you got a lot of everything like that. It's just going well around Ames.
Right. And Jamie Pollard, the athletic director, is the head of all that. He hires the coaches. He gives them what he can give them. I mean, it's not, again, he can't give them the best facilities in the country. He can't give them the most money, but he gives them what they can, and he lets them do their job. I know a lot of people make fun of Iowa State for wearing black a lot. Well, that's a Matt Campbell thing, and that's something that Jamie Pollard can give him. Hey, we can go get black uniforms. We can all start kind of dressing in black and stuff because that's what he wants, because he can't offer him $10 million a year. He can't offer him the most NIL money in the country. But things like that he can offer him, if Matt Campbell would have went to USC, I don't think Matt Campbell would be wearing as much black as he is at Iowa State. Now, could he sneak some black in there? Probably, but he'd be wearing those same, they call it cardinal and gold. It's not really, but, USC is really the same colors as Iowa State. Sneak some black in there, but he wouldn't be wearing all black like he does at Iowa State. And that is something that being creative and Jamie Pollard thinking outside the box has been able to help him, and keeping Matt Campbell in town, and again, signing him another extension to 2032 just gives you a sense of stability. Again, never say never. Do I think Matt Campbell will retire as Cyclone football coach? No. I think he will eventually decide to take another job, or unfortunately, it's just real life. Things don't work out for a while, and a change is needed or wanted. Or here's the other thing, just, Jamie Pollard is not going to be the athletic director forever. He's, say he retires in 3 years and the new athletic director they hire, him and Matt Campbell don't see eye to eye. That changes. So you're never going to say never, but right now the program and the staff and everybody that is working in Cyclone athletics, just like you talked about it, is working in the same direction, all having the same goals, and the success is showing.
Yep, and a lot of the color stuff, the fans, that gets the fans going as well. With the white and black that Campbell likes, you can, like last year, I believe, against one of the teams, I don't remember, is towards the end of the year. They posted online about 5 days before the game and said everybody wear black to the next game. They took it serious, and the whole stadium was wearing black. To be able to do that with the crowd, lots of schools, you can't just do that and have everybody go along with it right before the game. That's an Iowa State deal that the fans, everybody is in on this, and we're bought in on the programs, and that they really like that as well. So that helps out a lot with that kind of stuff.
And again, the uniform combinations, colors, and people my age, it's not for me. I'm an old white guy from Iowa, and that's not just an Iowa State thing. That's Baylor, switches uniforms a lot. Oregon made it trendy. They've got 47, uniform combinations. And those are just the things that, again, those are what you can control. And if the players, I always kind of say this, if the players feel like they look good, they're going to play good. Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter what Connor thinks. Doesn't matter what Trevor thinks. If the players like it and the coaches like it, they're going to play better. And, basketball does the same thing. Now, one of the things I really like that Iowa State has done, they've kind of gotten a little bit away from the I-State and gone back to the Cy and the different logos with the basketball and the wrestling and the football and basketball, just all of it kind of going back to old school. And I really liked it last year where, Matt Campbell at press conferences where, it had the marching Cy, the marching band, old Cyclone. I think he had strength and he wore wrestling one time. And he just promotes all the other programs because he's the face of it. Right or wrong, it's not Jamie Pollard. It's not TJ Otzelberger. It's not Bill Finley. It's not Kevin Dresser. The football coach is the face. And he just takes that to heart. And that's why we love him for it. And super excited for the football season coming up. Trev and I are going to make our predictions. We are less than 3 weeks away from kickoff in Ireland for Cyclone football. And then August 30th will be the first home game. So get the camper back out and get it all fired up, ready to go. And then, the next home game, 2 home games right in a row with Iowa coming to town September 6th. So 2 of the first 3 right there at home. 2 huge football games. Now, this is the one question mark that everybody has as Cyclone fans. Beginning of the seasons has not been Matt Campbell's strong suit. 2 out of the first 3 games, 2 big rivals, 2 of the biggest games of the season. If you can start off the season 3-0 with those 2 huge wins in your pocket, you've set yourself up for lots of success and lots of fun down the rest of the season.
Yeah, so really tough games to start the year. Kansas State, obviously, great game coming in with that. In Ireland, neutral site. It's a game between anybody. Whoever wants it more is going to win that ball game. I think a lot of Iowa State fans will travel to Ireland for that. They've been promoting it for over a year. Lots of Irish people around here. I think that'll be good. I think Iowa State will have more fans at that game in Ireland, but it is in Ireland, so it's not like it's going to be a home dominant game for Iowa State, obviously. There will be lots of people there. And then against Iowa 2 weeks later, I believe Big Noon Kickoff will be there. Lots of fans will be there for that. I think that'll be a great atmosphere. Lots of Hawkeye fans will be there, but hopefully Iowa State fans can feed off of the energy, and Iowa State players can feed off the fans' energy, and they can go get that one. I think if they start off 3-0 this year, I think it'll be a great year. But I think the first 3 games, 3 weeks of the season are by far the most important.
Yeah, because one of the biggest question marks is when you come home from Ireland, win or lose, you have to play that next week. So, you're not going to get home till really Sunday night. I don't think, it's 7 hours ahead, 6-7 hours ahead. You get, the game's over at, let's say, Iowa time. It starts at 11 a.m., 3 o'clock. You're not out of the stadium for another 2 hours. So there's 5 o'clock. Get to the airport, another hour. There's 6 o'clock. I don't know how long a flight is. I've never been to Europe. Let's just say it's 10 hours. Usually they fly nonstop from, Des Moines, wherever, but I don't know if that will be the case flying international. So you may have to go to Chicago or New York or somewhere to change plane, not even necessarily change planes, but just to land and then get through. It's just the logistics of playing in Ireland. So let's just say you don't get back till midnight Sunday. Well, you got to play Saturday the next day or next week, and you're already a day behind because usually they practice on Sunday after a Saturday game, and then I believe they have Monday off. So you're losing that day. I don't know if they're going to get a waiver and be able to not have a day off, or maybe they're going to use that Sunday as the day off because they're not really doing anything. But it's just going to throw their schedule off that week. And yes, South Dakota is not North Dakota. It's not, or North Dakota State. It's not South Dakota State, but they made the quarterfinals last year, maybe even the semifinals last year. They are one of the top FCS teams. So you can't walk through that. Iowa State has lost to North Dakota State. They've lost to UNI. And they have done that under Matt Campbell as well. It's not just in the past. I believe Matt Campbell's first game was a loss to UNI. I remember seeing that. And then even one of the wins with Brock Purdy was a fumble that Brock Purdy recovered in overtime that would have lost the game. And they did end up winning that game. But it's always close against those teams. And again, that is just a huge, huge game leading into Iowa, which is always huge. But it just sets the tone for the season this year more than most with that game in Ireland. I do think that's probably enough Cyclone talk for right now, about 25 minutes. I do want to switch a little bit with Connor being in high school. He doesn't play high school football, but I want just to give him a little bit of time here to talk Albia high school football because I know some of his friends play it, and then just some other, maybe local high school ties and everything else like that he wants to give him the floor for just a few minutes here.
Yeah, so Albia football recently hasn't been the best. We haven't been the worst. The last couple of years, I believe we went 4-5 both years. So not awful, but not great. Could be better. Made the playoffs both years. Lost to Van Meter, who one year won the state championship and then made the Dome the other year, I believe, and then lost. So we've had a tough going. But I think this year, we'll be all right. New districts came out this year. We got some different teams that we haven't played in a while. Knoxville, don't remember the last time we played them there in our district. We got PCM. That'll be a really tough game. Centerville's in our district. We play them every year, but they haven't been in our district. South Tama, I believe, and a couple other teams like that. We don't really play them like that. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes against those teams we haven't played. Looking back from last year and stuff of those teams, they were not the best. I believe we can be better this year than we have in the past. We got Gage Chance is going to be quarterback this year, I believe. He's been a wide receiver. He played a little bit of quarterback last year, made some really good passes. I think it'll be interesting to see how he does. I think he could be really good at quarterback for us. And then defensively, I think we got some good guys at linebacker and at defensive back and safety. I think we could be really good defensively. And I think last year, at least, our run defense was not good. If we can get that figured out and stop the run, I think that'll be big because our pass defense has always been pretty good. So I think if we can stop the pass, we'll be pretty good. I think we can go about 5-3 or 6-3 this year if we set our mind to it. Maybe even a little better. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see how this year goes. And then some of the surrounding teams. Centerville is projected to be pretty good this year. We beat them the last 2 years. They got us for quite a while before that. So that is historically been our first or second game of the year. But since they're in our district this year, they're like our second to last game of the year, I believe. And so that should be a pretty good game. That one could be a big game to see who makes the playoffs. Not, I don't know yet. That'll depend on how the season goes for them and for us. They've got a young kid at quarterback that's supposed to be really good. We did not see him last year. They had a senior at quarterback last year when we played him, and then he got hurt. And this young kid came in for him to finish off the year because their senior quarterback could not play the rest of the year due to his injury. And they won some games with him. He was pretty good, and he's projected to be a really good quarterback for him this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that is. They got a good running back, so that our run defense, if we can get that figured out and stop him, I think that'll be good. And I think that'll be a good game. I think there will be a lot of good games. Knoxville, they say, is not great. I don't know. Haven't seen them before. We haven't played them. I think that could be an interesting game to see how that goes. We're big rivals with Knoxville in every other sport. So that we'll know going into that we don't like them and they don't like us. So that'll be a bloodbath, I believe, and that should be a good game. Hopefully we can come out on top in that one. Just lots of good games like that.
Yeah, I mean, just, the seasons are here, and actually saw where, the girls' tennis season moved to the fall, and they actually started practice this last week. For every other sport, camp week was this week with practice starting on Monday the 11th. But girls' tennis already starting, and I saw where Atumwa girls' tennis has a meet, tournament, whatever you want to call it, on Saturday already. So it's fast approaching. Albia will be in contention there. They're just one step behind the last few years, but Chance being back at quarterback, and for Blue Demon fans, that has to bring a little bit of smile on everybody's face because his two older brothers were really good quarterbacks.
Yeah, so Blake has all the passing records in Albia. His oldest brother, Drew, never did play football, but he could have been a good quarterback too if he wanted to. But Blake has all the passing records, passing yards, passing touchdowns, all that. Gage came in. He played quarterback his whole life until last year, maybe the year before. He moved to wide receiver because we had Luke Wynn at quarterback, who was a good quarterback. And Gage is tall and could jump over people and catch the ball. So he was at wide receiver the last couple years, but he was the backup quarterback, and he played a little bit at quarterback last year and made some really good passes on the run and stuff that are pretty advanced for a high school quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see as a full-time starting quarterback this year how he does with that. And I think he could be really good. So
yeah, he's big, tall, lengthy, and a good athlete. So that's always –
he's good at everything he does.
Yep, so that's just always a good start. Well, I just want to thank Connor for joining me tonight. About 30 minutes here. That's good. Just again, I want to thank everybody for listening. Like, rate, subscribe on whatever podcast channel you listen to. Steve Shetler Media, any of those places that you listen, we do thank you. We really appreciate it.